What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Reactor Corps. This is episode 14. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined on the other side of the computer screen by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good, Kyle. How are you tonight?
Doing strange, I feel like.
Well, I was in a car accident that broke my hands, so I can't be a surgeon anymore.
By the way, I'm paralyzed from the waist down from now on, so no, I'm just kidding. No, it was supposed to start raining yesterday and was supposed to rain all through next Tuesday. And so I was really excited because I just got that brand new umbrella that I told you about on a recent episode of the Captain's Log, which you guys can find at thewhatnauts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And so I took my umbrella to work, and then I left work, and it wasn't raining.
Oh, beans.
And so I walked around all day with this giant umbrella for no reason. And then I checked my app this morning, and I'm like, oh, it's not supposed to rain till like 2 a.m. tonight. And I get out of work today because I didn't take my umbrella with me. And of course, it's pouring rain. Yeah, so that's my day.
Well, it's clear skies and cool temperatures over here in St. Louis.
Yeah, there you go.
Times are good. I'm ready for crime.
Yeah, for lots of crime. A downpour of crime. Let's do crime. So this week, all right, I guess this time on the Reactor Corps, we are talking about a show that I really enjoy called Money Heist. Mm-hmm. This is a Netflix original show whose original name is La Casa de Papel. This is a Spanish show that first aired, let me see, I have my notes here. It debuted in Spain on May 2nd, 2017 on a channel called Antenna 3. There were 9 episodes in the first part, and it returned with a second part with 6 episodes. Okay. Later that same year, Netflix acquired the rights to stream the show and distribute it internationally. However, Netflix re-edited the show so that the 2 parts each had 8 episodes. And then they released it on their platform and such. And then this past year, right, I guess earlier this year, it was renewed. Well, let's see, that's not right. It must have been last year. I have my notes wrong. It was renewed for a third part on April 18th of 2018, which was then released just a couple weeks ago on July 19th, 2019. And this is a show that is created by Alex Pina. For those of you guys out there who want to know a little bit more details on who created it and all that stuff. I kind of found this show on Netflix, just kind of scrolling through things. I like to watch foreign stuff that I might be into, because I feel like a lot of times as Americans, we're only inundated with like top 40 mainstream stuff, which is usually always English or American made. And I just feel like there's a huge blind spot out there of like amazing stuff that's being made not in America and not in English. So this is one that popped up, and it caught my attention because of the really cool characters in like orange jumpsuits and these masks that look like Salvador Dali. Like, that looks sweet. I like that. So I put that on my list, and I finally watched the first 2 seasons last year, like fall last year, and I really liked it. And season 3 just came out recently.
Yes.
Yeah. So Melissa, here's the deal. We are going to be discussing this show. I'm going to be talking about the first 2 seasons, as well as spoiling the mess out of season 3. There will be spoilers for the first 2 as well.
I don't imagine how you wouldn't.
Yeah. But you haven't seen this show.
Oh no, I had never heard of this until you told me about it. I was sold on the title alone.
Money Heist.
Money Heist.
I do have to say that is, I think, one of the worst aspects of the show. The English title is terrible.
Do you know the literal translation of the original Spanish title? Because it
La,
does not.
La Casa de Papel is the House of Paper.
Okay, so the mint or the bank.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Which will make more sense once I mention the plot of the show. But yeah, so you haven't seen the show, but we've done one other episode like this format. This is kind of an experiment for us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell the people about that one?
Yeah. First, it was my turn. I really, really wanted to watch Good Omens. You're like, okay, sounds kind of interesting. Don't know if it's my thing. Also, I don't have Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Like that's okay, Kyle. This is based on a book I've loved since I was like 16 years old. I know it super well. I know I will devour it as soon as it all comes out. Let's do it anyway, and I will just explain what the story is to you.
Exactly. So that was episode 11 of the Reactor
not
Corps.
Too long ago. That was a really fun experiment. And then you brought this up, and I'm like, well, I don't have time to watch 3 seasons of something to catch up. But it'll be my turn now. I'll be the one confused, just trying to read a Wikipedia article to keep alongside of you.
Exactly.
Let's do it. You tell me how much and why you love this Money Heist.
Exactly. So before we get into the plot, I do want to mention a couple other notable things about this show. According to its first quarterly report of 2018 to its shareholders, Money Heist is the most watched non-English show on Netflix.
Really?
On Netflix. Yeah, this is the most popular Netflix show that is not in English. So I think that is pretty damn spiffy, if you ask me.
Neat.
And in 2018, Money Heist also won an Emmy Award for Best Drama Series.
Ooh.
So there you go. I think those are some things of note.
Yeah, I can see it. I did watch here's what you missed in seasons 1 and 2.
Oh, sure. Like the
5-minute video that the cast did for the Netflix YouTube channel, and then the trailer for season 3.
Cool.
And I flipped through Wikipedia, so I've kind of got the gist of things. And this does seem like a really good show.
It's
from what I can tell.
Really fantastic.
From having seen 7 minutes of non-consecutive cut-together footage.
Exactly. So for those of you who have not looked it up by now, since we've been blabbering about it here, this is a crime show, specifically a heist show, that follows a man who goes by the name of the Professor. That's I guess they all use code names. And that's the one that he chooses, and his team of 8 people, whose code names are all based off of names of cities. As they try to rob the Royal Mint of Spain. So the mint is where they print all the money. There's mints here in America, and that's where we print all of our money. You always hear about like bank robberies or bank heists, but you never hear about mint heists. That also caught my attention. I was like, ooh, that's neat.
It's different. Quick question. Don't want to derail you too early. Do you know if there's any pattern to everybody uses a code name, and the code names are all cities. Do you know if there's any pattern to why certain cities are used? Because I noticed there's cities from all over the world, but the only American city is Denver, which does have a major mint in it. Do you know if the others are mint cities as well?
I don't know. And I don't remember if they mentioned why they picked those ones, or if it was just like, I'm gonna choose Denver because
I've always wanted to go to Nairobi. I don't know if they make money there or not.
It may be like, oh, that's where I was born, or that's where I really want to go on vacation because, you know, Denver, the hottest vacation spot in America.
It's the tallest vacation spot in
Mile High City. There you go. So let me run down the characters
Mhm.
of seasons 1 and 2, or at least the team, as I will often refer to them
Yes.
as. There is Tokyo, who is pretty much just a criminal lowlife. Her choices have put her mother in a dangerous spot, so she can no longer go home, and so she kind of wants to get in on this heist to get the money to give to her mom, as well as get herself, out of harm's way, hoping that will take heat off of her mom, who is just a mom,
Yeah.
So she's wanting to do stuff for that reason. We also have Berlin, who is a gentleman thief, and he is in charge of the team. I guess more specifically in charge of the team while they are doing the heist on the inside. So he is the team leader on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Moscow, who is a professional bank robber who dug tunnels into the safes of old banks. So this is old-fashioned, I'm gonna dig a tunnel into the bank, and it's fantastic. And then there is Denver, who is the son of Moscow, and he is a little bit more of a hot-blooded thug who speaks with his fists. He likes to fight. That's all he knows. And then there is Rio. He is a young hacker who specializes in disabling alarm systems. And then there is Oslo and Helsinki. They are both Serbian mercenaries who fought in wars together. And you should also note that Helsinki is also gay. Then there is Nairobi. And I just, for reference, I say make note of that because that will be important down the road. And there's some plot points. It's not just by the way, he's gay.
For a second, I thought you were about to tell me just a fun fact about Helsinki, the city, and I'm like,
Helsinki is very gay. Who knows if they are or not?
Nice.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's also B.
Then there is Nairobi, who is a professional forger. And it's also important to note that she has a kid, but she has lost custody of her kid.
Okay.
And then there is the professor, and he's the mastermind behind all of this. So by time season 2 was done, this was interesting to me because everything wrapped up. Yeah. And so when they were like, season 3 is out now, I guess just because it wrapped up, I didn't think to look for if there was going to be a season 3 because it all wrapped up. And so when season 3 came out, I was like, that's strange. I thought everything was done. What's happening here? But I watched it, and now I know why
the team
all
is
of this
coming
is
together
happening.
For one last job
Not
out of
exactly.
retirement.
Not exactly, but yes. So let's get on with the plot summary for seasons 1 and 2. I will say there will be some spoilers in this, so we'll do a brief thing of housekeeping here to give people a chance to pause this if they want to go watch these shows. They are all on Netflix. You guys can just search Money Heist and do all of that stuff. Housekeeping, however, last time here on the Reactor Corps, we did a spoiler cast for Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. We are big fans of the Marvel MCU here. And since that was the last MCU film to come out, we went and watched that and talked about it afterwards. It was a lot of fun.
Last one for a while.
Yeah.
You gotta just listen to this one to tide you over until Black Widow in May.
Exactly. Though, we did also recently mention our other podcast, The Captain's Log, which you can get just by searching the Whatnauts on your podcast app, and all of our shows will pop up there. But we did recently have an episode all about all the new MCU announcements that came out of Comic-Con recently. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, you can absolutely go do that. Last but not least, our third show, the review show, is our weekly book club style show where we read or watch something new each week. and talk about it. It's very similar to this show, maybe with the exception of this style episode that we're going to be doing here today. But it is more for just kind of whatever we want. It might be older stuff, might be something more recent, but this show is the one that is focused on things that just came out. They are the hot button things that we just can't help but talk about. So here we are. About to do some spoilers. Let me make our little spoiler thing go up there. There we go. We have the we are now in full-on spoiler territory.
All right, lay it on me then.
Seasons 1 through 2. The first thing I will say is that 5 months before the heist, the professor gathers the team and they spend those 5 months in seclusion, learning the plan and preparing for it. They're memorizing all the aspects. They're, okay, what happens if this thing goes wrong, or all of that. So they do spend a lot of time preparing.
I don't want to slow you down too much, just explaining the backstory. How does he get all these people? Like, how many of them know each other beforehand? Did he go pick like 8 fresh people? Well, I guess some of them, there's like, cousins and a father and son, but like, did the most part, did he try to pull like,
so none of these people know each other.
Okay.
For the most part. Of course, Moscow is Denver's father, and Oslo and Helsinki have known each other. They're kind of partners in crime. And then there is something that will come out later, which is that Berlin, if I'm not mistaken, is the professor's brother.
Yes.
But besides that, there's no real... This is the first time they are all meeting in one spot.
Okay.
So they spend those 5 months preparing, and then they get ready to do the heist, during which they wear these orangish red jumpsuits with these Salvador Dali masks that I really liked. It's very reminiscent of the Guy Fawkes mask from V for Vendetta, or if you watch Mr. Robot, it's the mask that they have in that is... don't remember who that's supposed to be based off of, but it's that similar, like, it's just a really cool looking mask.
Okay.
So once they get inside this mint, they kind of have this plan to get in there by using one of the paper deliveries inside the mint, which is they steal the truck and then pack it full of all of their weapons and supplies and all that stuff, and that's how they get into the bank. Once they are in the mint, once they are inside that mint, they lock themselves inside it, because the plan is not just to rob the mint, but to go in, lock themselves in, and then run the mint for as long as they can, which literally means the longer they're in there, the more time they will have to print money. So the original plan is to stay in there for, I want to say, like a week or two, and leave with $2.4 billion is the plan. Just like, we're just going to lock ourselves in, hunker down, and print money. So with this show, the team that is inside the bank, the team of robbers, that's kind of the first pillar of the show. That's team 1. Then the second pillar of the show is the police chief. It's like the police and all of that stuff. Her name is Raquel Murillo, and she recently divorced her husband due to physical abuse. However, he also works in the crime lab. So even though she has a restraining order on him, they sometimes kind of have to cross paths, and it's always just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. So that is kind of pillar 2. We see the robbers and we see the cops, right? Pillar 3 is the professor. He is off in a separate location, and he's communicating with his team inside the bank. They're passing information back and forth, and he's also calling the cops to communicate with them. The cops want to negotiate, and they have a system where the cops think they're calling him inside the bank. They don't necessarily know that he's in a separate location. So all of that stuff, they're like, okay, well, how can we get the hostages out and stuff like that? And he's masterminding the whole thing and manipulating everything exactly how he likes it. While he is talking to the police chief, Raquel, he even starts flirting with her a little bit, like, hey, what are you wearing? What's up? And they're all like, I maybe shouldn't be listening to this conversation. And so they have to deal with all of that. But meanwhile, throughout the entire show, the professor is meeting up with the police chief in real life, and they strike up a relationship. He knows who she is, but she does not know that he is the professor until much later on. And
does
once
he use
she
any kind of like vocal disguise when he's on the phone?
He does, yes.
Okay.
He does that. So he does have a voice like modulator thing, so it's not his actual voice there. But yeah, so he ends up kind of striking a relationship with the police chief, and that becomes problematic because rule number 1 of all of their heists is no personal relationships. Don't do that. It's gonna screw everything up.
I did see this. There's no names, which is why everybody's a city. There's no backstories, and there's no relationships. Like, you're all just going to be ghosts to each other.
Yeah, it's that idea of if you don't know anything about each other, then you won't get attached. There won't be the relationships. There won't be emotions involved. Things will go as planned. We won't have to fix something just because you want to get in someone's pants and stuff like that. So. There you go. But
this isn't a pants heist.
It's not. It's not a pants heist. But a lot of people seem to think it is. The professor's getting it on with the police chief. Tokyo is getting it on with Rio. And there's some more stuff that happens down the road. But the first major wrench that is thrown into this heist is Arturo Roman, and he is the Mint's manager.
Yeah,
he seems like the limpest of limp, wet noodles in a suit.
Okay.
However, he also ends up time and time again just trying to be the hero. And he's the most annoying character because he's bad at it and he's such a jackass. But yeah, he tries to be like, we shouldn't listen to these robbers. We need to stand up for ourselves. A mutiny, we can escape. Follow me. Well, and they're just like, shut up, dude. You're an idiot. You're gonna get us all killed. But we also find out that he's been having an affair with his secretary, Monica Gastabide, I believe is how you say her last name, who she also reveals that she is pregnant with his kid. So things are very strained with their relationship. Monica, the secretary, by the end of the show, or by the end of season 2, which I guess to take a step back, it's not really season 2. Netflix is releasing this in parts, part 1, part 2, and part 3, and together, part 1 and 2 is season 1.
Okay. I was going to ask, like, how does this, does the season just end midway through the heist and then pick back up again?
Wait, honestly, they could have just done this as season 1, 2, and 3. I don't know why they did that. I guess it could have been they didn't know its popularity and was just like, well, there's season 1, there's the entirety of the
Mhm.
show, and then they're like, oh, I guess people like this. I guess we should make some more or something. But yeah, so by the end of part 2, which is season 1, Monica, who is the secretary, wants nothing to do with Arturo. She hates him, and develops a very strong case of Stockholm syndrome for Denver. She insists that it is not Stockholm syndrome, and by the end of season 1, Denver has also fallen for her. As well, and they escape together at the end of the show, and they start their own life. So one thing that I really like about this show is it does a great job of the chess game that you often see in a lot of crime shows, right? And it like one thing that, because you usually see, like, there's another show on Netflix called The Fall, was starring Gillian Anderson.
Yes.
And that is another great show that really has that kind of chess game, cat and mouse thing going on. But this has the interesting, like, third pillar of the people who are stuck inside the mint. Those are the pawns. And so while these two people are duking it out in this chess game, you also get to see the tension that it makes for the pawns as things start to go wrong outside the mint, and they're like, we haven't heard from the professor, what's going on? Okay, we need to do it this way because we haven't heard from him. And so there's all kinds of tension and stuff. This show absolutely is very tense, like, what is gonna happen, and I love it for that. The show also does a fantastic job of positioning the robbers themselves as these kind of Robin Hood-like characters. They are the people's champ, right? They continually position themselves in a way that they gain, like, public support. To that, you know, they go in this bank, and they treat, for the most part, they treat the hostages well enough. They feed them, they give them what they want, but even like the way they expose the police tactics and stuff as, hey, these are actually really shady and probably unlawful to do all of this stuff. For example, the police at one point release a bunch of information on Berlin, claiming that he is a sex trafficker, that he does all these terrible things to children sexually and all of this stuff, and it's straight up not true. So they are, the police are, like, hoping to get public support of, like, oh, these robbers, they're terrible people, like, I mean, besides just robbing the mint, right? But yeah, and then the professor is able to expose that as fake and be like, hey, you guys are playing dirty, like, that's not good for public opinion. And this and so yeah, people are like, ooh, the cops aren't all that good either, that's strange, and these guys seem to be treating everyone well. Interesting. On top of all of that, to help try to prevent the hostages from escaping, they offer them a job. We need to run the mint. We will give anyone who helps us run this mint 1 million euros after the robbery is done for helping us out. And that's it. Just work for us, and we will pay you a shit ton of money. And a lot of people end up taking them up on that. But there is an escape attempt made. Some hostages do get out and stuff. We'll talk about that in a bit here. Tokyo, at one point, she ends up getting cabin fever. She's also kind of a party girl. She likes to go out and do things. So she's stuck inside the mint, and she's just like, I kind of need to get out of here. So she ends up making an escape. She gets caught by the police. She is questioned, but as they are transporting her to, I guess, a new location or jail, I don't remember, she escapes again, and she eventually makes a triumphant and emotional return to the mint. She goes back to the mint, and she's on this motorcycle riding in, and the police are shooting at her and all of that stuff, and she finally makes it back into the bank. And so it's this like, yeah, she made it moment. Like, you actually end up rooting for the bank robbers in this, which is again something I think the show does fantastically. So are you with me so far?
Yes.
Melissa, do you have any questions so far?
No, I think I got it. Like, all of this was covered in that little recap video I watched. I'm curious about like the formatting of the show. This recap video I watched says, and then you learn that these people do have a relationship, and this person knows the other person, and those two are a couple. Like, is there any flashback? Is every like little bit of backstory and intrigue you're finding out just like live there within the show? Like, I see you two canoodling over there, or was it like, haha, flashback, we've been canoodling for the past 4 months?
There's a few flashbacks, usually to give context to parts of the plan as they are enacting them.
Classic heist structure. Okay.
Yes, that's stuff like that. There are a few that do reveal personal information. Like I said, Berlin is the professor's brother, or at least they're good enough friends that they consider each other brothers. I don't know if that was perfectly clear.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like there's more flashbacks in this new part 3.
Okay.
But yeah,
but
most of it is like here in the now. We are doing this heist right now. But yeah. So.
Okay, because the way the story was described to me, I could see this being formatted like Lost, almost, where it's all those, okay, this person arrived fresh here, ready for the heist. Here's something about their life before that and how they got into crime and into knowing the professor.
It's not exactly that.
Okay.
As you see relationships develop, you do see a couple flashbacks that might give you a little bit more context into what is going on, but it's not to the extent that Lost like has these really awesome like game-changing flashbacks. It's just like, oh my goodness, they were in the same spot at the same time. Wow, what in the world? That guy killed that guy's dad. Oh my goodness. No, it's not that crazy. So I mentioned that Tokyo at one point got captured. In part 1 and 2, we also see the professor get captured at one point. Of course, they eventually figure out that he's not in the same location, and they start tracking him down, and it is the police chief's ex-husband who works in the crime lab. He's not the one that puts it together first, but he has a bunch of evidence that can point to the professor, and so he uses his relationship with Raquel to get closer to him to then get into the police station and destroy this evidence. But he gets in there by assaulting him, so he basically assaults a police officer to get arrested, to get it's complicated. But he also assaults him because the guy has seen the results and he knows, like, holy shit, this is the professor, the same guy who's doing this stuff. So yeah, he destroys all of the evidence before it really gets out there that he is, in fact, the one who's masterminding it all. Of course, Raquel starts putting a lot of those pieces together on her own. She starts to suspect the guy that she's been sleeping with is maybe, in fact, the professor.
Like actually sleeping with.
Oh yeah, they have a full-on relationship where they are dating, and
I thought they were only inside the mint for like a week. How much time does this take?
So well, yeah, it is like the day the heist begins, I think, is when the professor first meets the police chief in real life.
Okay.
It was part of the plan to meet her, but it was not part of the plan to fall in love, as all stories. Yeah, right. It was not my intention to fall in love with you, but I did. What I felt was real. See, I hire me, Netflix. Jeez.
So I thought they were just like flirting with each other. I didn't know. Oh, so okay, it's gotten that far already.
He starts to flirt with her, like as the professor to the police chief over these like negotiating phone calls, as a disarming tactic to make her feel uncomfortable.
That I got, but his
keep her off balance.
Real name is Silva or Salva.
Well, he tells her it's like Salva. Yeah. But his real name is actually Sergio. So he is also still using a fake name with her in this stuff. But eventually she, she connects the dots, and so he just takes it all down. He's like, all right, my name is Sergio, blah, 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 So when the truth does finally come out that she has been sleeping with... I
just can't get around... You're the chief of police during like a major hostage situation. You have time to start sleeping with a new guy?
Look, she just had a divorce. She is super stressed out by her job. Her mom has Alzheimer's. She is a single parent. She is stressed out. She just needs to get some D.
Well, good for her.
Yeah. And it just so happens that since it was a part of the plan for the professor to meet, like, that's the closest guy, and so they start like, hey, you're actually kind of cool. Do you want to get coffee? Do you want to go for a drink? Do you want to go back to my place? Like, but yeah, things do happen very fast in this show, but it's all, it's traumatic experiences and stuff like that. So a lot of people get close through all of that stuff.
I think I was just picturing her being like constantly on the job and like at a desk or like outside the mint in like a stakeout van, like on the phone yelling at somebody.
For the most part, she is.
Okay.
But this is a 24/7 thing. Like, she has to stop at some point and go home and sleep, right? And she has to
figured she was just
take care of her family and
sleep, take daughter to daycare, to eat one meal, back to crime fighting. And he was just like the guy who's like at the convenience store when she's at the convenience store. Like, I need to eat and then get back to watching this hostage situation.
That's kind of it.
Okay.
Honestly, they meet at the bar down the street when she gets off of work and just like, I need a fucking drink. I need to clear my head. He also happens to be there. He's supposedly a regular at the bar, all of that stuff. So that's how they meet and stuff like that. Moving on. So she ends up finding out that he is the professor, and she is horrified and very conflicted because she does actually really like him. She thinks he's actually a really nice guy, but she doesn't really know what to do at this point, because by the end of season 1, or by the end of part 2 of the show, she's also kind of disenfranchised with what the police and what the government has been doing to kind of like, she is in charge, but there's also people thinking that she's not necessarily cut out to solve this case, and so people are undermining her sometimes and stuff like that. So she's starting to get disenfranchised of like, I guess we did actually do some really shitty things. Maybe our system is not good either, you know. So she ends up letting him escape. Throughout the show, of course, there are a couple characters that die. Oslo is the first character to die. He is killed as the hostage as a group of hostages try to escape. Moscow dies, saving Tokyo as she is making her dramatic re-entry into the mint. The police are shooting at her, and he steps in to take the bullets for her. And then Berlin, who is the like leader of the group, he ends up making a last stand at the end of part 2 to kind of stall for time, other people can make an escape. He also kind of does that knowing that he's about to die. He has cancer. Or some kind of disease that is incurable, and he's basically going to be dead in like 6 months after this heist. Anyway, so it's, what are you really going to do in 6 months with all that money, you know? But yeah, so he takes his last stand to ensure that everyone else can escape. Let's see. So when Raquel let the professor go at the end of part 2, the professor then goes to help dig the escape tunnel from the outside going in. Meanwhile, on the inside, they're digging out. They meet halfway in. Let's see. Blah 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 blah. Once inside, he finds out that they have 984 million euros so far. I think they were planning on being in there for like 3 weeks or so. But because of all the complications, they could not be in there for the full time. They were in there less than half of the time. I don't remember if they stopped then or if they try to make it in even 1 billion. I don't remember where they get, but the number I keep seeing was 984 million. So once they get all the money, it is moved through the tunnels into trucks and packed into kegs. Meanwhile, the hostages are released as the police try to invade the mint. Things are chaotic. That is where Berlin makes his last stand. He's holding the police off with a Browning 50 caliber machine gun. He has some M16s. They're chucking grenades at him and stuff like that. He gets killed. At this point, Raquel is now wanted by the police. It has been out that she has been sleeping with this guy known as the professor. They think she's somehow mixed up in this, even though she's not, but she also doesn't like the cops at this point. So they catch her, they question her, and they put her in a situation where they have to choose between where she has to choose between her relationship with Sergio or her daughter. And so she ends up giving up the professor, where they are going to be, to where the money is supposed to be and where you can find them. But they take her to that spot to, like, all right, well, we'll take you with us just to make sure you're not lying. They get to the spot, and all they find is like a $50 banknote for them. And Raquel kind of smiles at that. She goes, good, they got away. And so, yes, the robbers got away. Some of them were in the in the trucks. Some of them changed their outfits and walked away on foot.
Okay.
You know, as they were going in one way, they went out that way and stuff like that. And then the show ends with a scene 1 year later. The case is still unsolved. They haven't found any of these people, and Raquel has quit the police as she's been disenfranchised to the whole system, when she receives these mysterious 2 postcards in the mail with a little bit of a puzzle on them that give her coordinates. And so she puts it all together, and she goes to where the coordinates take her, which is the Philippines, to where she finds the professor there waiting for her. They live happily ever after. And that was part 1 and 2.
Okay, I understand how that seems entirely self-contained, but is also, it's not an absolutely crazy idea to tack on a 3rd season. It wouldn't be tacked on necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of those things that's left so open-ended, like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. But it's like, oh, okay, they achieved their goal. Mission accomplished. They got out, and they got away. But yeah, there's not much more to it than that. So I was completely satisfied with those 2. I was like, this was an awesome show. I loved it. Any questions so far, or comments or remarks about part 1 and 2?
I think I've got it. I am real intrigued to find out what season 3 does. I read that this is now a bank heist.
Yes.
They're just gonna
season
get all
3 ends up being a bank
money.
heist. But we'll get into that in just a sec. We are going to take a quick break, and then we will talk about part 3.
Okay.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We just got back from our break. I hope you guys enjoyed that little snippet of the remix of the Bella Ciao song. I think that song's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I did want to mention something about this song, and actually start off talking about part 3 by talking about the music.
Okay.
So the song Bella Ciao, which means goodbye beautiful, is an Italian folk song. I'm writing this straight off of Wikipedia. It's an Italian folk song that was adopted as an anthem of the anti-fascist resistance. It was used by the Italian partisans between 1943 and 1945 during the Italian resistance, or the resistance of the Italian partisans against the Nazi Germany forces occupying Italy, and during the Italian Civil War, or the Italian partisan struggle against the fascist Italian Social Republic and its Nazi German allies. Bella Ciao is used worldwide as an anti-fascist hymn of freedom and resistance. The song has much older origins, though, in the hardships of the Mondina women in the paddy field workers in the late 19th century, who sang it as a protest against harsh working conditions in the paddy fields in North Italy. So I'm skipping down here, and they have translations of the original Mondine. I hope I'm saying that word right. I actually don't know exactly what that means. Of that version, where it is basically them just being like, yeah, in the morning I got up to the paddy rice fields I go, and stuff like that. And it's kind of a, yeah. I guess I don't really have much else to add on that. I was hoping for some
really,
bam,
it's really
here's
interesting
the
history,
poignant line. But yeah,
I loved hearing the song.
So then they took that tune and the like bella ciao bella ciao ciao ciao, that part, but then they changed the words in the partisan version, and I'm gonna read a couple of those lyrics. I'm gonna skip the parts where it says "Oh Bella Ciao" because it repeats that in like every single stanza.
Yeah, I got it.
So it says, "One morning I awakened. One morning I awakened and I found the invader. Oh partisan, carry me away. Oh partisan, carry me away because I feel death approaching. And if I die as a partisan, then you must bury me. Bury me up in the mountain. Bury me up in the mountain under the shade of a beautiful flower. And all those who shall pass, will tell me, what a beautiful flower. This is the flower of the partisan. This is the flower of the partisan who died for freedom."
Okay, it's a metaphorical flower, because I'm like, just one flower.
Giant flower. No.
That ain't gonna give you any shade, friend.
But yeah, so like this is meant as like a rallying cry.
Okay.
And though this is not the like opening theme song to the show, that's something else. This is kind of like the thematic song of the show when there are, you know, when you're watching the Avengers movie or Star Wars and they have the like Star Wars theme song playing softly in the background, you're like, man, this is inspiring. This is really cool. You'll hear this song like slowly playing in the background.
Oh, okay.
And it's used in multiple ways, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for part 3, I wanted to start out by talking about the music. This is the first thing that I kind of noticed about part 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think Netflix spent a little bit more money on the music.
Nice.
While watching part 1 and 2, I didn't really notice there being much music. That is probably a good thing in the sense when you are making music for a show or a video game or what have you. You don't want it to be a distraction, right? So if they don't necessarily notice it, that's probably a good thing. But you also do want it to complement the scenes and stuff like this. This kind of took a different approach, where the music was much more in your face, but it had this much more like classic rock, punk rock feeling to it. It had a lot more attitude.
All right.
I felt like Netflix was very confident in this show. Was like, we're gonna put some kick-ass tunes in this song, and I liked it.
Nice.
I didn't think they were distracting, but they came at the perfect moments, right? Where it's like, all right, something sweet is happening here. Let's have some kick-ass music. So I liked that a lot, and that was the first thing that I saw as a major difference. And honestly, is maybe the only difference plot-wise. They use a lot of the same story beats, but in different ways, if that makes sense. For example, in season 1 and 2, there was that the time when Tokyo needed to escape and she came back. Well, as I'm about to get into in a sec, there's another character who is not in the bank with them, and eventually he comes back and he makes this triumphant entry and stuff like that. You know, so there's similar story beats in part 3 here, so I liked that too as well. Cool. Let me close out that tab because I don't need it anymore, and let me go back to my notes. So before I begin season 3, where are you at, Melissa, with this? What are you thinking? Is this am I doing my job of convincing you that, hey, this is a quality show, you should check it out?
I understand it. Yes.
Cool.
This seems like a decent undertaking. I saw on Wikipedia the episodes can be like 70 minutes long.
So that was, I think, the original ones, if
Okie
I'm
doke.
not mistaken. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think when Netflix re-edited them, they made it more so they're like 45 to 55
Okay.
minutes
Okay,
long.
cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
Pop quiz.
Ah,
What's your favorite heist film?
Ant-Man.
Good choice. Good choice.
I saw Ocean's 11 once.
Have you seen Ocean's 12?
I have not yet.
Okay.
My dad didn't record that one. I don't know.
It almost feels like Land Before Time at this point. You have Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, Ocean's 8, all that stuff. I like a good heist film. I do think Ocean's 11 is my favorite.
No, can I change my answer?
Absolutely not. You are stuck with it for the rest of your life. Ant-Man is the final decision.
There's a movie that is not a heist movie, but there is a heist within it.
Okay.
That's really good. The Great Muppet Caper.
There you go. Perfect. So yeah, if you guys are fans of heist films, I would absolutely check this out. I would say this is similar to Ocean's 11 in the sense that it is a team that they build to all do specific stuff, and
that's our George Clooney for sure.
Yeah. The exception is that it is not as suave or as comedic as Ocean's 11 is. Like, it's meant to be smooth and funky, and you know. This is not. This is a gritty crime drama. It's very tense. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
This sounds. I watched the first season of Prison Break once, wherein
that's all you need to watch. Honestly,
exactly. Like at the end of that season,
the best
spoiler alert, they break out of the prison, and I don't even know what happens after that because I'm like, I'm good. It executed.
Oh. Shout out to the first season of Prison Break. That show, that first season of that show was brilliant.
Yes.
And then it was terrible after that. Season 2 was okay. It was like, all right, this makes sense. But then season 3, oh god. And beyond. Part 3 of Money Heist. Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns here. So this picks up 2 years after the Mint Heist. So I guess after the Mint Heist, a year later is when we see Raquel, the police chief, go meet up with the professor out in the Philippines, and this, I guess, is taking place a year after that. And we open up with Arturo. Everyone's least favorite hero.
Oh, the weasel man.
Yeah, the guy that no one likes, who had the affair with his secretary, and he just wants to, don't listen to these robbers, and he is still doing the exact same thing. He has written a book about his experience. He is giving self-help seminars for people to become more confident. And to hey, your experience is not as bad as mine. I went through hell. I had terrorists hold me at gunpoint. They strapped bombs to my chest, all of that stuff. He's like, you and your job at the law, you can do this. This isn't nothing. And he thinks he's a big shot, and he's still just a jackass. But we also see that Nairobi and Helsinki are living it up in Argentina. We see Denver and Monica, who was the secretary, who is now going by Stockholm, and her kid, which I started to write it down here, I see, and then I didn't finish it, so I don't remember what my notes are. They named their kid after a city too. I think it was Cincinnati. I'm not mistaken. I think they named their kids since Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, the Italian child.
Well, right. So
sorry, the song is Italian. I forget where we are.
They're Spanish. It's a Spanish show. But yeah, they were thinking it was going to be a good girl, and I think they had a name that was like Cindy or something they wanted to do, or like Cynthia, and it happened to be a boy, and so like, well, we can't name him Cynthia, and they were like,
Cincinnati, the completely legitimate naming option.
yeah, and so like, what's the boy's version of Cynthia? Oh, Cincinnati. I don't know if that's actually what they did or not, but they are living life out in Indonesia. So then we pick up with Tokyo and Rio, who they have had a relationship all throughout part 1 and part 2. And they are living out in paradise. They are in Gunayala, Panama. It is this tiny island that you can run from side to side in about 5 minutes. There's like a small local village. They don't speak the same language as them, so they have no idea. The weather is perfect year-round. They literally don't have a house. They have a bed out in the middle of this island with this like net, and it's just like this paradise. They fall asleep to the ocean waves, and it's like, this is god damn it.
If you don't have a house, where do you hang your posters?
Look, they don't have posters of Spider-Man like I do, okay? They don't have posters of Batman hanging up. They're sitting there like drinking alcohol and wearing coconut bras and all of that stuff, and sunbathing nude, and they are in paradise.
Wow.
So yeah, so they don't have a roof over their heads. They're chilling out in paradise. But maybe you could have seen this coming. Tokyo is a little bit of a party girl. She's getting a little stir crazy. She wants to go see the world. And Rio does not think it's safe. It's better for them to stay where they are, where no one knows they are, where no one can find them. But she can't. She can't do it. So she decides to leave. And so Rio gives her one of 2 satellite phones that he got from Helsinki, who bought it off the black market. They're unregistered phones, or so they thought. Unfortunately, the dealer may not have sold them out, but the company that made the phones figured out that what they were being used for, and I guess sold them out to Interpol and stuff like that. So if they use these phones, they're located instantly, and they don't know that. And so unfortunately, 3 days later, Tokyo, I think, is out in like, I don't know, I want to say like Rio de Janeiro or something like that. She's partying it up. They're supposed to call each other at a certain time on a certain day, you know, and she's having a little bit too much fun to really pick up. So he calls, and they find out where he is. They find out where Rio is. I think she's like 30 or 40 minutes late, and she finally calls back like, hey, sorry for, you know, being late, all that stuff. I lost track of time. And now they know where both of them are. And so Interpol is going wild. Send the cops. Go get them. Swarm. And they figure it out while they are talking on the phone, because Rio can see the police boats coming up, and he's like, oh shit, fuck, they know where we are. They like, you need to run now. So Rio gets caught, he gets arrested, but Tokyo manages to escape, and she ends up calling the professor using a, this time for sure, secure line, and asking for help. They have a contingency, like, hey, if you ever get found and you need help, here is the thing you can do. Here's the number you can call here, you know. all of that stuff. So she asks for help. Tokyo ends up meeting up with the professor in Thailand. That's where he is chilling out. And guess who comes walking out behind him? Raquel.
She's still there.
She's still there. But here's the thing. The other people inside the bank did not know that he had been having a relationship with her. So all of a sudden, here's the fucking chief of police right behind him. And she's like, hold up. What the hell is happening? And so, yeah, he's like, calm down. She's with me. Like, we're a thing. We're the hot ticket item.
She's crime too.
Yeah, she switched sides, and Tokyo's like, I don't believe her. Like, I don't really like her. And she goes, my name is no longer Raquel. I'm Lisbon. Yeah, there you go. Lisbon. Libsyn. What was I thinking? I don't know.
It's like
Lisbon.
a city on the internet.
There you go. She is Lisbon. And so yeah, like she has to fight for, like, no, I am no longer a cop. They were dirty. I didn't like what we were doing. I switched sides. You guys are criminals, but hey, you were fighting for the people. You guys did what you did, and great job. Now I get to live in paradise, be a millionaire. So yeah, they kind of have a tussle there. They explain the situation. Hey, they had these phones. That's how they found out about everything. And we need to save Rio because he got arrested. Here's the thing, though. Since that phone call to meeting with the professor, that was 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
These guys are extremely wanted criminals. If one of them is arrested, that would be huge news. He hasn't been on the news.
Huh.
Interesting. And they haven't announced that they arrested him. There's nothing. So they are holding him illegally. He's been he's been detained. He's been arrested for longer than they can hold him without telling people that we have him.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So they're like, all right, Spanish government is up to no good. Well, we're gonna stick it to them. And so, yeah, the professor then is like, all right, we will save him. We will get him back. And to do that, we're going to rob the Bank of Spain, the National Bank. We're going to rob a bank.
Okay.
So there is the National
How does
Mint.
This help him?
Well, I'll explain in a sec. So there is the National Mint. And of course, that's where they print all the money and stuff like that. This is like the main bank of the country. This bank has a vault filled with gold in it. That is the big prize possession. So they are like, hey, we are going to get ourselves into this bank. We are going to rob the bank, and we are going to use that as leverage to expose what the government is doing. And they are holding him illegally. Most likely, they're torturing him for information on where the rest of us are. He doesn't actually know, but they are probably torturing him. And we are going to be in there. And again, we are going to be the spark of revolution to expose these government's misdeeds and stuff like that. So they want to get the gang back together. So they put out the call. They start collecting all of the people. Let's see. And the professor plans to get the gang back together. Plus, he recruits a few new faces to save Rio. So here are the new characters that we got. We got Bogota. He is a metallurgy expert. He is an underwater welder. He knows how to dive. He knows how to weld things, in tight spaces and stuff like that. And he's going to be a major part of this plan. Then there is Palermo. who is revealed to be an old friend of Berlin's.
Okay.
Who came to help. So he's there to help because he helped actually come up with the original plan to rob the Bank of Spain. Not the Mint, but the bank that they are at for this one.
Okay.
So he helped come up with the original plan. And he is also going to be taking Berlin's spot as the de facto leader of the group on the inside.
Okay.
And then there is Marseille, who is a hitman.
Okay.
And he's kind of the man on the outside, actually. So this is more so that the professor won't have to leave his post. In part 1 and 2, one of the things I did not mention is that there are numerous times where, because someone screwed up or something, he has to leave his post and go fix something. And when he's out there doing that, he can't necessarily be in contact with the people on the inside, and so things go wrong on the inside, and they're like, we don't know what's happening, So this is an extra guy on the outside, so if he needs to, have someone go fix something or do something like that, he can send Marseille.
Okay.
He's also using Marseille to do this trick with the phone so they can't trace him, where they have old rotary phone, or not rotary phones. What am I saying? It's all ancient technology to me. Old cell phones. The original cell phones,
the Zach Morris cell phones, yes.
Brick ones, yeah, they all still work.
Okay.
Here we are in 2019, and they all still work.
An incredibly tense, dramatic scene, and someone is holding a phone that's the entire width of their big man hand up to their head.
Yeah, and so instead of the professor calling the police directly, because they don't have the same setup that they did last time, he has a system so that he will let Marseille know that he wants to make the call. He will call Marseille on one of these throwaway cell phones that he has, and then Marseille will get another phone, will call the cops with that one, and then will basically put those two phones together so they're the speaker is talking to the mic.
Wow.
and that stuff, and then he just goes on a bike ride around the city so they can't figure out where the signal is, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So he's doing all that extra stuff. So those are the three main extra characters. I will say we don't see much of Marseille besides just, all right, I'm putting the phones together, they're in my pocket, I'm gonna go for a bike ride.
Sinister.
Yeah, sinister bike ride. You can't catch me, coppers. So to get inside this bank, they need a giant distraction. So how else would you do a giant distraction besides filling 2 or 3 blimps up with millions of dollars and dropping it on the city? People go crazy and money falling from the sky. And that just creates chaos on the ground. And in response, basically the police come out, the army comes out. They know something is up because it's not just in a random spot that they're dropping all of this money. It's right around the bank. So they know something is up. We need to be very cautious here. We know we have one of them. I bet you this is their move. So they're send the army in. Funny enough, that's exactly how they plan to get in this bank. As the army is coming in, they disguise themselves as the army and basically just walk right in. They get control of the bank pretty quickly there. At the same time, they release this kind of, I guess you could say, viral video in which the professor is in the orange jumpsuit with the mask. He unmasks himself. It's also public knowledge that is the professor. So he unmasked to be like, hey, I am who I say I am. I'm not just a new person or stuff like that. But he unmasked so people know it's him. And he's like, hey, we are only doing this because they have one of our own. They have Rayo, and he was captured and arrested more than 2 weeks ago. He hasn't been on the news. They are detaining him illegally, and they are torturing him. This is what your government is doing. If you don't want to stand for that, stand with us. And so people come out and they start protesting the government. They are demanding that Rayo gets a public trial, all of that stuff. So now the army has to kind of deal with that and keep all of these protesters out of the bank, which also keeps the army kind of out of the bank, or at least occupied with something else, right? And this is where we see a flashback.
Okay.
Now we're getting into me explaining some of these flashbacks and stuff here. Yeah. So this is where we see Berlin, who, if you remember, he met his end at the end of part 2. He made his last stand so everyone could escape. And this said, like, I don't remember the exact time, but this is some like years or months before all of the heist, like even before the mint. I guess it has to be because he died. Yeah. Duh, yes. Kyle. And so it's Berlin and Palermo, and they are coming up with the idea how to rob the Bank of Spain. And it turns out that they are basing this plan off of Aikido, which is a martial art that uses your opponent's force against them. Yes. And again, it's like the idea, hey, we cause this distraction, they'll send the army in because they know it's us. We use the army to slip in. We do that, they think we're going to do this. And so we use that to do, all of that stuff. So then it also goes to another flashback, but still forward in time. It is just before the heist and is now when they have the team together and they are teaching them the plan, and they're like, this is going to be based off Aikido and blah, 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 blah. Yes. So they start explaining the plan to everyone then, and it's this same stuff, no names, no backgrounds, no relationships. And then they're all like, yeah, right. So the big thing with this heist is that if they are to somehow breach the vault in a way that is not natural, or not the bank manager opening it with the code, the bank vault floods.
Oh.
And I forget exactly how much time they have, but I think it's within like half an hour or something. It fills up fast. And so it's this thing of like, you're basically not gonna survive if it, like, there's no way you can get all of it out and survive. You will you will drown in there. I kind of mentioned public sentiment has been with the team since the mint heist in part 1 and 2, but of course all of this is rallying the people again. People are taking to the streets. All of that stuff is still continuing. They managed to get themselves inside the bank and lock themselves in, but pretty immediately they are already met with resistance. The bank manager has a team of highly trained personal guards. This is like his own personal police force stuff. So they are not willing to cooperate.
I imagine not, yeah.
My computer just freaked out and shut my internet down and restarted it for some reason. Who knows?
Well, you're still here.
Yeah, thankfully I'm still here. Let me put that back on that size and then scroll down to where I was. Yeah, so the bank manager does not want to cooperate, and they have a little skirmish. In that fight, Palermo is hit with some shrapnel, and it gets into his eye. And so Nairobi and Helsinki have to operate immediately on him and pull out these like glass shards that are like stuck inside his eye. And yeah, I mean, these guys aren't doctors or stuff like that, but the professor has trained them like, oh, okay, if one of you gets hit with a bullet or stuff like that, you guys need to know how to get it out, how to close up the wound. You guys basically need to know how to operate on people, and you just like, here's the crash course on like field medic stuff. And so this one is maybe a little bit more sensitive because it's like shards of glass in his eye, but they nonetheless they need to get this out, which is what they do. Palermo is okay, but he does have to wear an eye patch. After that, somehow they have an eye patch. I don't know.
Prepared.
Yeah, in case we need to disguise ourselves as pirates. So let's see, blah blah blah. In the conflict, we did all of that stuff. Let's see, the robbers. So yeah, in the conflicts, he gets the shrapnel in his eye, but they also get a hold of the bank manager, and they subdue his team of people, and they tie them up and stuff like that. The plan is to then take the bank manager down to the vault and open it up, but he still refuses to cooperate. And unfortunately, Denver gets a little hot-headed, and he punches him, and he falls back, and he hits his head, and he has a seizure. And they're like, ah, fuck. Well, I guess we're moving on to Plan B then.
Ooh.
So Plan B is to, hey, we are going to cut a giant hole in the bank vault, and it is going to flood. And what we're going to do in this giant hole is we are going to put this like giant chamber in the hole of that to bridge the gap. I guess, I don't know what it's called, an antechamber or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But they're going to put it in that hole and seal it up. So the water stays on that end, and we will be dry on our end. And we can go in that tube, and we can pressurize it and fill it with the water and open it up on the opposite side, and we can go in the sunken bank vault, and we can take the gold and put it on the thing and keep passing it back and forth and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that is the plan, which is why they had, what was his name again? Bogota. He's the one that like, hey, if this thing floods, you're our expert on that stuff. We need to do that hole and seal it on the opposite end and all of that stuff.
And about how many episodes into season 3 are we now?
Well, part 3 is 8 episodes.
Okay.
So this is like episode, I want to say like 2 or 3.
Wow.
Yeah, they are going for it right away.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hurry you along. I just like, what is the sense of pacing in the show? And boy, howdy, is it fast.
Yeah. So again, my whole thing was like, everything wrapped up at the end of part 2. Are they really going to do a season 3? And I was thinking this was just going to be an encore, like, hey, here's just one more season since this did so well. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. But yeah, so they moved on to Plan B, and it turns out what they're going to do is not just take these bricks of gold, but they are going to melt the gold. And they are going to, once it's melted, they can turn it into whatever they want, whether it's small grains. Somehow they can get it into smaller tubes or stuff like that to make it much easier to move. So while they are setting up that chamber, they're also setting up basically a giant forge for them to melt all of this. And to do that, they need some people to work down in the forge. So they're like, hey, hostages, you guys need to come work for us. So they're like, you can come with us. What's your name? You're good. But
you guys all have forge training, right?
Right. But as it turns out,
nationally mandated forge training. You needed to graduate high school.
My dad's a blacksmith. I'll take you. No. So as it turns out, these aren't just regular hostages. These are plants. These are robbers that they have planted inside the bank before they dropped the money out of the sky. These guys are already ones that work for them. I think they have names, but they're more background characters than anything else, because it's like, okay, here's the like 3 people that are going to be working the forge that are just going to be down there. We don't really need much of them. But yeah, so that's what they are up to. That is the plan. They are melting it and changing it into these like smaller grains of stuff. So meanwhile, Rio is still being tortured, and he is being tortured by this woman named Alicia Sierra. Or Alicia. I believe it's Alicia Sierra. But she is a member of the National Police. Rio is refusing to talk. They are drugging him up. They're torturing him, doing all sorts of stuff. And Sierra, because he won't talk, is forced to be like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to take Rio with me, and I'm going to take command of this entire case and just figure it out myself.
Take him with me.
Well, yeah. So I guess it should be noted that he is no longer in Spain. They took him somewhere else. We don't know exactly. And they are torturing him somewhere else, not in Spain, or at least we think not in Spain. And she's like, all right, well, I kind of need to take care of this case because I guess this is happening. We got no information from him. Someone needs to, put their foot down. And she seems like the badass bitch to do it. So let's see. She wants to take command of the case. Meanwhile, Colonel Tamayo and Colonel Suarez, who I believe we saw both of them in part 1 and 2, they are also still there, being like, these guys again. We know them. This is why we need to go in now. Just fuck all the rules. Send the army in and just destroy them. Like let's just wipe them out. So that's what they want to do. They want an all-out assault. But right before they start the assault, the robbers reveal that they know about a secret vault even behind the gold, filled with all of Spain's dirty little secrets. This is where all the right, it's a little bit ridiculous, but it
national treasure.
Not in a campy way, but in a sense, yes. Like, this is where all of the important documents are held. This has proof that Spain has committed war crimes, or that they did this deal behind this country's back, and if things got out, this would be bad. Like, this would be an international incident, and so they kind of have to pull the assault back, because if they publish any of this, they are screwed.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Denver comes running out in the midst of fire. He has a little white flag. He's like, "White flag! I surrender! Blah blah blah! Don't shoot me!" And he has these two red safe deposit boxes, and he tosses them, and they bust open, and it's these documents. And they're like, "Yeah, we have these. We know about them. You can't do shit to us because we have this basically as a shield." And so now the professor has the advantage. But Sierra picks up the phone when the professor tries to call, because that just happened, and the professor is like, "All right, now we call them and be like, hey, you sons of bitches, what are you gonna do now?" But Sierra has now landed in Spain. She's there on site, and she's the one that picks up the phone, and she means business. She does not give the professor a chance to talk at all. In fact, she knows that Raquel is there, and she starts playing them against each other immediately, and she fucks them up, and they are shocked and off balance. Like, what just happened? She who is this? And it turns out, I think Raquel and Sierra kind of know each other, so it's more like, I know who the fuck you are. We were college roommates. Have you told your new boyfriend about the sex tapes you used to have? All that stuff. And they're just like, don't you dare talk about that stuff. So yeah, they are bewildered and amazed that that she would just I mean business. So Sierra turns the tables on them and wants to take it one step further. After she gets off the phone with them, she goes, "You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take away the blackmail shield that they have. We're gonna release our own documents.
Oh.
And they're gonna be fake ones. But the public won't know that. All the public knows is that they have documents with secrets on them. So we're just going to release a bunch of fake information." Again, this is the we're going to release a bunch of fake information on Berlin and say he was a sex trafficker and stuff like that. This is all fake.
Yeah.
But it kind of nullifies that shield that they have there. And so, again, this is where Tomeo and Suarez are like, "Hey, let's send in a small tactical team. This is our chance." And so this is what they do. They have this SWAT team, and they want to send them in. Meanwhile, though, they are working to get closer to the professor and Lisbon. They're like, "Hey, their MO is that they are somewhere off-site. If we can find them, we can isolate the people inside. They won't have information. We can cut off their communications. We'll stop this whole thing if we can find them." And they get very, very close very fast. Let's see, they run into some trouble when a tree breaks their antenna, and the van that the professor and Lisbon has been in also gets stuck in the mud. They're right outside of this farmhouse, and they get stuck in the mud.
All these old-fashioned problems
after him. Yeah, and they're just like, "Fuck, the cops are after us. What are we gonna do?" This giant family that lives at this farmhouse starts coming out, and they're like, "What the hell is happening? Wait, that's the professor. Holy moly, you've been on TV. We know you." And they're like, "Look, you got us. We will give you a lot of money right here, right now, if you help us get out and hide us from the cops who are 5 minutes away that way." So they do. They pay off this family to basically be like, "Oh, this is our van. you can look inside. There's no one in there. And so yeah, they manage to escape, but it is like, it's suspicious. Something's going on here. Meanwhile, again, there is that assault team that happens to go into the bank, but the professor manages to warn them like 10 minutes before they enter the bank, like, hey, you are about to have this team come in here, get ready now. And so that's what they do. They manage to kind of direct the SWAT team coming into a specific room, which they have rigged with explosives and laser detonators. So once they were in the room, they switched them all on and basically locked them in there. Like, all right, SWAT team is taken care of. And then they make a video of them in their underwear, singing the Bella Ciao song, and they send that out to the internet. So they've been beaten again. That, like, look, you sent the SWAT team in on us. Here's what happens when you mess with us. You know. So let's see here. So after that happens, that is when Sierra goes, all right, you know what? You got us good with that one. Good job. I am willing to give you Rio if you give us back our assault team and 40 hostages. And so they say yes. They're like, cool, we will do that. So if you give us him, we will give you all of this in return. They make the exchange. Rio has his triumphant return. He is driven up to the bank. He walks out. He's in this nice looking suit because, it's all on TV and stuff, and so they want to make it. They're like, oh, the cops took good care of him. See this nice suit? His hair is cut and all of that stuff. But he is kind of taken aback that there's so many crowds there, and they're all in support of him and his team, of being like let Rio go, he deserves a trial, like blah blah blah, all of that stuff. And so he's like, hell yeah, this is badass, man. And so like right before he goes in, he makes this like little fist pump thing, and he's like, fuck yeah, stick it to the man, bitches. And then he walks in, and he's happy to see everyone, and they have a big reunion, and it's fantastic. Any questions so far, Melissa? Right now we're at episode 6 is when he makes his return. It's at the end of episode 6, so we have 2 episodes to go. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Questions so far, thoughts, comments, concerns?
What city would you name yourself after?
Good question. What city would I name myself after?
I think I look like a Winnipeg.
Oh, Winnipeg. Kyoto.
Yeah,
I think that's a sweet name.
Yeah.
And of course, with me being into anime and cyberpunk and all that stuff, it has a history in Japan and technology and all that stuff. And
I think they got really cute little storybook houses.
Sounds like something you would be into.
Yeah. I think it's also in the Central Time Zone, which I'm a fan of that.
Who knows? So yeah, that was the end of episode 6, is when Rio makes his return. So once he is inside, let's see, where am I in my notes? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we go. He makes his triumphant return. Unfortunately, in all of the midst of that, they suspect that Rio has been bugged. We know you've been tortured. We know you've been drugged up. We know you may not have been fully conscious. They could have implanted you with some kind of device. It might not, not in your clothes or something, but inside you.
Huh.
And so we get another flashback of the professor being like, hey, they're probably going to plant a device on Rio and give him back to us at some point in attempt to like listen in on our conversations and stuff like that. So when and if we get him back, or I guess if and when is how the saying goes, whatever. When we get him back, we need to figure it out if there is a device on him, and we need to operate to get it out. So you guys need to know how to do that.
Ooh.
Which is what they do. And they have a code word for like, yes, you have been bugged. We are going to need to operate on you. But they also don't want to let the authorities know that they're like, hey, we think you've been bugged and we're going to take it out, blah, blah, blah. They want them to still think that he still has the bug inside him.
Yeah.
So which is why they have that code word of like, man, after everything you've been through, you need a little vacation, which is their like code word thing. And so yeah, they have to operate him on him and get it out. In the meantime, they kind of want to use that opportunity to still kind of make sure the cops think that it's on and all of that stuff. So they're like, hey, Tokyo, hey, Rio, you guys kind of had a relationship. Maybe you should get it on. You haven't seen each other in a while. Go have some fun. And yeah, there's this weird like, are you serious? Like, that's a really slimy move, Professor, to like make us do that. And so there's a scene where Tokyo is starting to do this strip show, where they're still talking like, you know, like they're having this strip show, but she has messages written on her body. So as she's taking all this stuff, it's like, hey, we need to operate on you. Go along with this. Like, here's what we're doing. And while he gets the message, they continue talking, but it doesn't go well. Rio's been tortured. He's had a lot of time to think. He knew that Tokyo is, you know, she's a very restless spirit, and
yeah,
maybe they're not made for each other. So he breaks up with her right then, and so yeah, it's this like weird moment of like, hey, we kind of want you guys to fuck, so the cops think that we don't know this device is in you, and that's just what they would expect you guys to do, right? But it turns out to be this like, hey, I've had some time to think. We're very different people. Maybe this doesn't work out. And so, of course, this sends Tokyo into this like, fuck, we did this whole thing for you to get you back because I do actually really love you, and you're breaking up with me? Like, shit. you know? And so it's not good for her. She starts to get emotional. She starts to get drunk, and it is not good.
They brought alcohol with them?
Well, she's in... That's one of those things. Like, they have an eye patch. They have alcohol. No, she... Keep in mind, they are in... Keep in mind, they are in this big bank. Banks have tons of money. Big, important people work there. They are all rich in their offices. They all have alcohol and champagne and stuff like that. So yeah, they plan to. She just starts like taking it out on her team and stuff like that, and so it starts to cause some friction. On top of all that drama, the police finally locate the professor and Libsyn using a drone. They have this little thing flying by. They're like, shit, we need to escape. So they drive into the forest, hoping to lose the drone in the trees. It has to fly above them. They end up ditching the van. They jump and roll, so the van keeps on going one way, which is what the drone follows, but it eventually comes to a stop, and they realize, ooh, they escaped. They are somewhere in the forest, and we don't know where. And the plan is that Lisbon and the professor are going to hide in the trees like snipers, which is, I guess, one of their contingency plans. Like, it seems like they've always been on the move, but they're driving around and like changing vehicles, so they have like different vehicles set up at certain times, and then you know stuff like that. So they're like, all right, we're here, we're near the forest, which means we need to do this thing, which is like, hey, we're gonna climb trees and hide up in the branches. But they are in separate locations. She had jumped off first. He needed to prepare the van to keep going in one direction, so they're separated now. Unfortunately, the plan does not go so well for Libsyn. She's trying to climb this tree, and she can't make it up. It's the one that is near her, the one that she needs to climb up is too big, and there's not enough branches for her to like get to. And she is close enough that the cops have finally started to storm the forest, and the manhunt has begun. The cops know they are in here. And so she has to go hide at a farm that is not too far away. She sees this barn. She goes, I can go hide in there. But unfortunately, she's also discovered by the farmers who live there. They recognize her. At this point, there is a reward for her. So it's like, hey, you're the former police chief. We know you. There's a reward for your head. We're gonna turn you into the cops. And she's like, yeah, have you seen the news? Do you know how much money I have? I will give you more money to hide me from the cops. I think the reward was like 10 million for information about, if we can catch stuff. She's like, I can give you more. Like, I'll give you 12 million. Just hide me. And so, yeah, she asked them to hide her. We go back to the bank. And to draw away heat from the professor and Lisbon, the robbers concoct a plan to use the listening device that was in Rio to fake an escape attempt. They basically put on this like little radio drama where they're like acting as if they're running. They're being like, all right, put the gold in here, and they're making sounds, and they're like
coconut cut in half.
they have noisemakers. They're doing all sorts. Like, they really fake this whole thing. It's fantastic. Yeah, and then to finalize it, what they do is they attach the listening device to a ferret that they brought with them on the heist. So the ferret can get set loose in the sewers and will lead the police away, because they think, hey, if the device, which also has a GPS on it, is moving that way, they must be in the sewers. We're gonna go get them. We need all of the cops there. Yeah, and you laugh at the ferret, and it is really ridiculous, but it is there in all of the flashbacks when they're like, all right, here's everything we need for the plan. Like, they have prepared for this scenario of like, hey, if we ever need to fake an escape attempt, we have the team ferret.
This is our mascot.
Yeah, right? And so it almost works, but the cops discover the ruse, and Sierra's like, yeah, that would make sense. If they wanted to draw heat off of them, that means we fucking got them. We have the professor. Like, he is right there. We need to find him. We almost have him. So in response to that all of that shenanigans, Sierra wants to start fucking with them in return. So she plans to use Nairobi's son, the one that she does not have custody of and has not seen in years. Which if you watch the show, you'll find out the whole backstory with that. But she basically waltzes her son right out in front of the mint, or of the bank. And Nairobi sees it and is like, holy shit, that's my kid. Why the fuck do you have my kid? What the hell? And that draws her to a window. Bang! Sniper hits her right in the chest. It was all bait to get her to the window and kill her. So she gets hit in the chest. She is bleeding out. They're like, oh shit, this is bad. Like, this is not good at all. This is like, you're about to die, basically. And so she is bleeding out in Helsinki's arms. And then we switch back to the farmers that have Raquel and lesbian, as she is now being called. And they still can't decide. We take the 10 million from the police, but the police also have been illegally holding this guy and torturing him, and they released fake information on all this stuff. And she's like, look, dude, in America, the guy that found Osama bin Laden, he gave information to the government. Still to this day, he is still trying to claim his reward money. Spain will never pay you. That's how this stuff works. Trust me, I have the money. I can get you the money. But they don't decide, and so the cops do end up coming, and they capture Lisbon. Once the professor hears that, he gets down from his tree. He's like, holy fuck, I need to go save Lisbon. I need to do something to get her out of there. He books it. And he hears Lisbon over the mic being like, you can take me in. I'm unarmed. Don't shoot me. Don't kill me. Basically pleading for her life. And then bang. And silence. And the professor just is completely shocked, and he falls down, and he's like, oh my god, they just killed her. Fuck. Like, this is not good. Things are falling apart left and right here. Which is when Palermo? How do you fucking say his name? Palermo. Radios in the professor, hey, Nairobi has just been shot. She's bleeding out. To which he's like, they just killed Lisbon. And Palermo's also like, well, they're also sending a tank. What do we do? And just in complete shock, the professor goes, go to Defcon 2. This means fucking war. They killed my girlfriend. They just killed Nairobi. What the fuck? Let's fuck their shit up. And so they're about to assault the bank with this giant tank, to which they are now about to go into Defcon 2, to which Tokyo and Rio both rush to go get some weapons. They pull out RPGs. They go to the front of the bank. They get in position. They open the doors, and they're like, fire! And they shoot the RPGs, and they blow the tank up.
Wow.
And they shut the doors right away, and it's just this big fuck you, don't mess with us, don't come in. And so it's this big yeah, this big like middle finger, like, hey, we still know what we're doing. We still have contingencies for all
Yeah.
of this. Don't mess with us. Um. So yeah, they shoot and destroy the tank. We cut back to the farm,
Okay.
and Lisbon is still alive. Turns
Ah.
out they faked her death. They knew that she had a radio to him. They let her plead for her life. They took her device, shot the round, and then destroyed the communication device as if she had died there. And they report back to Sierra. They're like, we got her just like you planned. And she goes, good. They did exactly what we wanted them to. They reacted rashly on our end.
Tank anyway.
Too. Yeah, and it's this idea of Sierra just tricked them.
Ooh.
She just fucked with them real good. And yeah, that's where it ends.
Wowzers.
Holy moly! I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, God, don't know, not a fucking cliffhanger. God damn it! Now I have to wait for part 4.
God dang! You told me at the beginning of this, Helsinki is gay. Remember this?
Yes.
What was that for?
So the thing that I wanted to mention with that is, yeah, he is gay. And so he ends up kind of striking up a problematic relationship with Palermo, who's also gay. But the friction comes when the robbers don't know what to do with the guards inside the bank, those like unruly trained professionals, because even though they're tied up, they're causing some problems. They're stirring up the people. They're doing all this stuff. And so Palermo wants to kill them. Nairobi says no. Like we're not supposed. Like we need public opinion on our side, which means we can't kill people. In which Palermo kind of chews her out and outs her, being like, yeah, well, at least I'm not in love with the gay guy here. And she fucking hated that, and she eventually comes out and goes, yeah, I'm in love with him and he will never love me back. Fuck you, you know. To which she drops a tidbit of information, which we've kind of seen hints at through flashbacks, that Palermo was in love with Berlin. And she goes, yeah, well, at least he's still like, at least I'm not in love with Berlin, and at least he's still alive for me to do something about it. It's this big like fuck you. And so, you know, there's this kind of tension between all of them there. And they Helsinki and Nairobi, they were the ones that were off, I think, in like Argentina or stuff like that. So they've paired up. They've been like best friends. They've been living together since the heist at the Mint. And so you are kind of rooting for them to become a couple in this whole thing. But it is this like, it's never gonna happen. It's just this like, I want it to, but it's not, and it's maybe for the better, but who knows. What else? There was something, I guess I mentioned the thing about Nairobi's kid. That was also one of the important things I mentioned at the start. One thing I think
is interesting, I'm reading here on Wikipedia that you didn't bring up at all, is that Alicia Sierra, this like really tough new law enforcement woman they bring in, is also pregnant all throughout season 3.
She is.
Boy,
she is about to pop.
Wowzers.
Yeah, which makes her very hormonal, and she always has like a lollipop pop in her mouth, or she's like, give me a fucking donut or something like that. She just like she has these
Interesting
cravings, and is just like, you guys are gonna need to give me what I want, which in I don't know if that's the best way to portray that she gets what she wants. I feel like it's a little bit of a ploy, if that makes sense. I guess I don't really know my full thoughts on that.
That seems like such a
I feel like it's just a weird choice.
it's such a comedic thing to do.
It's not done in a comedic way, though.
Yeah, but, like, when you say it, I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like a running gag in a sitcom or
Right, like
something," or something like Psych,
yeah.
like one of those comedic procedural shows.
So again, this is not a comedic show. It is not the Ocean's
Yeah.
11
Interesting.
smooth, funky. Like, this is all
like,
played as straight.
Serious and intense, and you're like, "Well, there's a ferret."
And yeah, when I'm saying some of this stuff out loud, it absolutely is like, oh, but that's fucking ridiculous.
Everything, like, kind of makes sense when it's played out, but I'm like, "Ooh, this sounds bananas when you were just saying it to me, and
Yeah,
I'm not watching the dang thing."
It is kind of bonkers, but I think it really draws you in with the tension between all of these characters. Oh, you're in love with this guy, that one's in love with this one, all that's, all of the relationships that they keep having, despite that being the number one rule. And that whole chess game of being like, okay, we need to move them here, and we need to do this stuff and that stuff, and these guys just basically being caught in the middle of like, hey, the antenna on the professor's car broke, we don't know that. Ooh. But we're stuck without communications for the next hour or two. What the fuck happened? We had to, like, because of that, we now have to do X, Y, and Z. That may have not have been what you would have wanted us to do, but here's where we're at, So I think it's a fantastic show. I again was not expecting this to go at the pace they were moving. I was like, oh, well, they're just going to do these 8 episodes and be done with it. It's just going to be a one more season testing the waters to see if they can continue the story somehow. And no, they're not even done. They're doing a whole another part after this, which I guess they've confirmed is in production, but there's no more information besides that. So there you go. What do you think, Melissa?
This was an exciting recap. This certainly seems like an exciting show. I don't know if it's something I will sit down and watch soon, because it sounds so intense and pulse pounding.
Yeah.
And you're on the edge of your seat. And like, I
really
just don't always feel like doing that, especially for however many hours it takes for all 3 of these seasons to play out. But yes, you've sold me on, this is a good thing that we have out here.
Cool.
In our TV landscape.
Good
stuff. This sounds very exciting.
So I do want to mention that if you have made it this far in the podcast or on the video version of this that we put up on YouTube, I left out a lot. So
you did. Like, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and there's tons of characters
that I haven't even mentioned, or plot points of they did this and then they did that. So if you still want to watch this and you haven't seen the show yet, I feel like you could still absolutely go back and watch this show, and there'd be a lot in there for you'd be like, oh, they do this and they do that. And so he did mention that, but he didn't say exactly how it played out and stuff like that. So I think you guys could still watch that and absolutely catch up. I want to say you have at least a year before part 4 comes out. They haven't announced a release date yet, especially since part 3 just came out like 2 weeks ago as of recording this. So yeah, or if you guys just want to start with season 4 part 4, you guys can hop on that way. But if you guys have seen the show, let us know what you think in comments, or hit us up on Twitter or something like that. Oh, I just hit my microphone. Wasn't supposed to
Hmm.
do that. Melissa, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Do what
Me.
we kind of do for the review show, which is one of our other podcasts.
Yeah.
Based off of the explanation, what might
Ooh.
you recommend to other people that would like this or liked this?
I just the idea that it's all of these characters brought together and some of them have connections, but for the most part, they don't know each other.
Hmm.
They don't know a single thing about anybody's past, and they just have to all work together.
Yep,
Kind of reminds me of Lost, which is one of my
it's both of
basic.
our like one
Yes,
of our
it's
favorite shows.
I relate most things back to Lost. It was very formative for me. So, if you're looking for the character relationships and like the flashbacks and the oh, I know that about this person. That's why they know what they know. And oh, it turns
Hmm.
out these two are actually connected and they've known this the whole time. That stuff you can get from Lost. But also, I mentioned it earlier, first season of Prison Break, which I haven't watched
Yeah,
in like 12 years,
there you
but I
go.
remember really liking it. I hope it holds up.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember after I watched it, I had a friend spend the night. This was again, this was like years ago, and I was like, dude, you have to watch this show. And so we binged the entire first. Like he came over and spent the night, and that's all we did. We just binged that entire show.
Oh.
It was fantastic.
Mhm.
Uh, Anything else besides Lost and Prison Break?
No, those sound like I imagine those building blocks will give you kind of
Cool.
what you're getting here.
Good stuff. If I could recommend some
Yeah,
things,
you know a lot more crime shows than I do.
for sure. Uh, Obviously, if you want heist that is filled with a little bit more comedy and is a lot more smooth and funky, Ocean's 11. Go watch the Ocean's
Yeah.
movies. They are
Mm.
always pretty cool. And they always have a team of people to go do all of that stuff. But we've mentioned that a billion times on this podcast. Um, Netflix actually has a great number of non-English shows. I feel like I've talked about them on our
Yeah.
podcast a lot. I've mentioned them here and there. If I had to recommend a couple of them, especially ones that are crime shows, I would recommend Babylon Berlin,
Okay.
which is a German show, and it takes place in between World War One and World War Two. It is a like detective murder mystery, crime noir, and it is fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it is like Netflix's or like one of their most expensive shows. The set design is beautiful. It is
Ooh.
like 1920s flappers, like all of that stuff. And it's an incredibly tense murder mystery, and
Mm.
just in the time period it's happening in Germany, I mean, you guys know the history. There's some political stuff that is happening that isn't the focus of the show, but it like you feel it breathing down your neck of like the Nazis are about to come to power and things are about to go horribly wrong in this
Ah.
country. And again, that is not what that show is about at all.
Is this
I
like Cabaret? The musical Cabaret is exactly like
you
this.
know me. I'm not into musicals. I don't know Cabaret.
This sounds like Cabaret, but it's a crime drama.
It might be, but yeah, like if you're into like murder mysteries, crime noir, I would recommend that one. I would also recommend Bad Guys Vile City,
Mm.
which is a Korean show, and it is a similar premise of well, I guess in the sense that a team is formed and it focuses on that team. However, it is more so that it's a team of criminals made to catch other criminals, if that makes sense, or like criminals and dirty
Yeah.
cops and all of that stuff there. And it is extremely violent. If you guys like the film Old Boy and you guys like the fight scenes and all of that. It is just a bunch of like fist fight, gang fights, all of that stuff. Who knows? I just lost Melissa's camera for a second there. But
I touched a different part of the desk, and the camera's like, well, as long as you're going around touching things, me too. I'm also not working.
It's problem solving on that end, so I'll let that be and continue on with my recommendations. So yeah, it's also a great kind of political thriller crime show that I really, really like. And last but not least, I want to recommend Mr. Robot. It also uses that like V for Vendetta style. We're gonna do this mask that symbolizes our revolution and all of that, but this is a group of hackers instead, and it stars Rami Malek and what is his name? Yeah,
Sorry, I just Googled Mr. Robot because, like, I could not picture exactly what that mask looks like in my head. And when you type Mr. into Google, the first suggestion is Mr. Krabs.
It does not star Mr. Krabs. The name I am looking for is Christian Slater. He is also in that. I know he's a famous actor as well. He's in a lot of stuff, but it's Rami Malek and Christian Slater. This is a fantastic show. Again, if you like stuff like V for Vendetta, it kind of has that political spark of just like, yeah, revolution, blah, 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 that stuff. There you go. That's cool. What I would recommend with that. Melissa, let's wrap things up here. Where can the people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT.
There you go. I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to get in contact with us on, or I guess us as in the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. If you guys like what we do here, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can support us. At the $1 tier, you can get access to our to early episodes. You can catch the live streams of the review show as well. At the $3 tier, you guys can get all of our exclusive content. We have some exclusive episodes of the review show up, and we are going to be switching to exclusive episodes of the Captain's Log in a month here or so. We're going to start that off with finding out which Sailor Moon scouts we are going to be. So be on the lookout for that stuff. And we want to give a big shout out to everyone at our $5 tier on Patreon. Thank you so much to Sam and Christine for helping us out, for supporting us and making all of this possible.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys a lot. That being said, thewhatnauts.com is where you can find out more information. Search the Whatnauts on whatever podcast app you use, and that's where we'll be. You'll find all of our shows. Let's get out of here. This has been the Reactor Corps episode 14. We will see you guys next time. thank you so much for checking out that episode of the Reactor Corps. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you guys liked Money Heist, or I guess our big old recap, spoiler-filled thoughts on that. Let us know what your favorite heist movie is down below. That would be pretty sweet. In the meantime, go subscribe to our channel right up here. Go watch one of our other videos down there, because we got all sorts of other types of podcasts as well. And then go like, share, subscribe, sell your soul, tell a friend, give us all your money. That'd be great. Thanks.